On January 17, 2008, a mysterious failure caused the British Airways Boeing 777 to come crashing down just short of London's Heathrow Airport. This was the first full loss of a 777 aircraft, which had been operating without serious issue since 1995. In a strange twist, the culprit in this accident seemed to vanish after the crash, leaving investigators puzzled. Speculation was rife after the accident, with some saying that a software glitch may have downed the aircraft, or that there may have been radio interference from the Prime Minister's motorcade, which was passing nearby at the time. In the end, investigators found that the cause was both far simpler and far more pernicious. What follows is the curious story of British Airways Flight 38, the flight that showed how a collection of circumstances, which in their own are harmless, can combine to cause an accident. This is also the story of how experience and quick thinking can be the difference between life and death. At about 10 AM local time on January 17, 2008, British Airways Flight 38 pushed back from the gate at Beijing International Airport in China. On board were 136 passengers and 16 crew. The flight was bound for London's Heathrow Airport in England, a 12-hour, 8,000-kilometre journey. In the cockpit on this flight were 3 experienced pilots. Captain Peter Burkle was 43 years old and had 12,700 hours of flying experience under his belt, over 8,000 of which were on the 777. He doesn't know it yet, but in 12 hours he will draw upon this experience to save his own life and the lives of everybody else on board the plane. In the right-hand seat was the senior first officer, John Coward. He was 41 years old and had 9,000 total flying hours, 7,000 of which were on the 777. The other pilot, First Officer Conor McGuinness, was 35 years old and had 5,000 hours of flight experience, just over 1,000 of which were on the 777. The presence of 3 pilots on this flight meant that each of them could take a 3-hour break at some point during the cruise, ensuring that they would all be well rested for the approach into London. The aircraft being used for this flight was 7 years old and had entered service with British Airways in 2001. The 777 was and still is a highly modern aircraft with an excellent safety record. Up until this flight, not a single 777 had been lost in the aircraft's 13 years of service. Flight 38 lifted off the runway at Beijing at 9 minutes past 10 local time and headed northwest towards London. It was carrying 79,000 kilograms of fuel for the long journey. The aircraft's flight plan required it to climb initially to 10,400 metres, or about 34,000 feet, before descending back down to 31,500 feet because of the extremely cold air at that altitude. The air at altitudes used by commercial aircraft is normally very cold. Typical temperatures lie between about -40 and -57 degrees centigrade. On this day, however, conditions were unusually cold, with temperatures as low as -76 degrees centigrade or -105 degrees Fahrenheit.